Move that we open the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the first item on the agenda is 7 Chestnut Court, AHRB review for proposed legalization of concrete patio and rear property. Do we have anybody to speak to this? We have somebody online?
Hello? Can the board hear me?
We can hear you.
Can't see you yet.
I apologize. I am stuck in traffic and trying to make my way in, but my name is Miguel Sastre. I'm probably 10 minutes out, but I would, if you prefer, I can do it now, or we can hold me over till I get there.
He's in
Sorry, how far out are you?
10 minutes.
It says 15 minutes out.
Okay, well, why don't we push you down the agenda?
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I will see you in a few. Thank you again.
All right, the next item on the agenda is 50 Parkway Drive, AHRB review for proposed exterior renovations to existing home, including replacement of windows and sliding glass door. Do we have anyone to speak to this?
I think so.
It's a cool house. Hey, Anthony.
Are we ready?
Yep.
Good evening, I'm Chris Boyer, I'm from Michael Lewis Architects. I'm here to present 50 Parkway Drive on behalf of our clients, Sam Gruen and Emily Litwin. The project involves the renovation of kitchen. We're taking a dining room, converting it to a kitchen, and repurposing the existing kitchen to a mudroom. We're also doing some proposed exterior window replacements. So on the screen, you can see that the proposed work area is in the rear of the house. The pictures above are of the house from Parkway Drive. The lower pictures are the work area, and these windows here, sorry about that, are the windows that we're proposing to replace, this one and this one. So this section of windows is where the kitchen is, and we want to get better connectivity between the kitchen and the outside space. The outside space is quite lovely. So moving along to the floor plan, you can see the kitchen here, and a large window opening, a slider in the middle, flanked by 2 side lights. And then in the mudroom, we have to reduce the size of the existing window. It would be an in-kind window, but we have to kind of make it narrower to work with the new plan. Moving along to the elevations, you can see on the bottom the existing elevation showing the demolition. So these would be the 4 windows that get removed, along with the stone wall for the new window openings. And then this existing window would also be removed and replaced up here with a smaller, narrow window. Here you can see the sliding door flanked by side lights. The materials, we're planning to use Marvin Elevate windows in white, and any kind of wall repair would be in kind, the stone in kind. So trim would be white. The stone is existing to match existing, and the sill under this window and the sill under this opening would be to match existing. We are planning for a little bit of soffit lighting. This is a soffit here, which projects out, so we're planning to use a downlight. There's some existing lighting there that we're planning to replace. Any questions?
Looks good to me. I was curious, though, the fireplace and the chimney goes up to the first floor and that's it?
It goes up to the second floor. We think at one point in time during the history of the house, there was a third floor addition put on, and at that time, we think maybe the
that's
chimney
interesting.
was taken down for the third floor,
Huh.
or not extended out.
Yeah,
I
it doesn't
guess
come
is
out of
right-
the roof, yeah.
Yeah, so anyhow, we've done some investigation, and the chimney doesn't go through the existing roof. is the
Right.
point. And so it's really only removing it on the first and second
Yeah,
floors.
that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it was a little baffling when we first started, but we figured it out, so.
The drawings are very clear.
Yeah.
Thank
looks
you for
good.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah, almost all the work's interior work, so I don't have any questions.
I
Anybody?
don't either, no.
No, he looks
Looks
good.
nice.
Okay, would anybody like to speak to this? No?
Do we need to
Okay.
open a public hearing?
We also
We
have a
don't,
letter of
it's an AHRB.
support. I didn't mention, we have a letter of support from the neighbor at 54, if that helps.
Great, thank you.
All right, I believe we have a resolution prepared.
Yes, you do. Whereas the applicant is seeking architectural and historic review to construct an addition, property is located at 50 Parkway Drive. Whereas now therefore be it resolved, the AHRB of the Village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application for a architectural and historic review approval is granted, subject to the following conditions, and then it refers to the plans dated May 7th, 2025.
I make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
This is beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
I drive by it all the time. Wait, which one are you talking about? The one on Clinton? Or the
No,
one we
this-
just looked at? Oh,
This
yeah.
is- Yeah, this is Parkway.
All right, the next item on the agenda is 26 Judson Avenue. AHRB review for proposed exterior alteration to raise existing roof to accommodate interior elevator. Do we have anyone to speak to this project? Anyone online? Yeah.
I have a question, Dan. What triggered the,
The ARB?
I'm sorry, Dan,
Because the roof line's changing.
I had trouble. Yeah.
I don't really see it on the plan either. It seems
Huh?
kind of
It's
subtle.
like really hard to, I
Can
mean,
you
the
guys
material,
hear me?
there's a material change. But anyway,
On Judson, you mean?
Hi,
Hi. Please
This
go
is
ahead.
my name is Robert Musliner. I'm the homeowner. The architect, Thomas Haynes, who drew up the plans, couldn't make it, so we're here to go through it. So basically, we are looking to install an elevator for our daughter to use with her wheelchair that would go up to the second floor. The requirements of the elevator are that the height of the ceiling on the top floor has to be 8 feet. And if you look at, I don't know if you guys have the drawings right in front of you, but if you
I
look
do.
at
Yeah.
that section where we would need to put the elevator as like the dormer bump out, where the elevator will go is not quite 8 feet, it's like 7.5 feet. So we would just need to raise the elevation of that section of the roof about 8 to 12 inches, just to accommodate the elevator.
but I mean, this is fine, I think, but the ridge line looks like it's, the upper ridge line looks like it's still all the same.
Yes.
Of the, how, and right, and this aligns with that. So is it the angle of, is it?
Yes, it would just be the
It's
pitch.
just
of
the pitch of the dormer?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly. And like I said, just to accommodate the 8 feet out on the edge there.
right, right.
All right, any other questions? I don't have any issues.
No.
No, me neither.
Okay, Valerie, you have a resolution?
Yep, I do. Whereas the applicant is seeking architectural and historic review to construct an addition. The property is located at 26 Judson Avenue. Now therefore be it resolved, the AHRB of the Village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application for architectural and historic review approval is granted subject to the following, and this refers to the plan set dated August 25th, 2024.
I make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, since 7 Chestnut Court is still not here, let's move on to the combined planning board public hearing and AHRB public meeting agenda. 130 Bel Air Drive, public hearing for proposed ADU compliant apartment and basement of existing residence. Do we have anyone here to speak to this application? And while we're waiting, I move that we open the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, how is everyone today?
Disembodied voice, oh, there he is.
Hello?
Yep, good.
Yep, we can hear you.
Here, okay, great. How's everyone doing today? Thank you for your time. Sorry for the mess behind me. I'm here on behalf of the owner of 130 Bel Air. I am the contractor. Last time I was here, I had described the request to do an ADU in the basement of 130 Bel Air. Just to review, there's a negative SEQR on this. The application complies with all requirements as set forth by the land and land use and zoning chapters. Just a refresher, this is a 500 square foot ADU in the basement with no changes to the exterior of the home, except a window well in the backyard in the rear of the home. I think one of the topics we had covered last time was whether additional parking would be required. Nelson, Pope, and Voorhees had determined that additional parking was not required. There's ample street parking. So the homeowner is hopefully looking forward to carrying out the project in a compliant manner. And happy to answer any questions that may have popped up since last time.
Has anything changed since your presentation last time?
Nothing.
And
Any questions?
the April memo from you guys, Nelson Pope, has all been covered?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, because this requires, an ADU requires a special permit and a public hearing, we've opened the public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to this application?
Anybody online? No.
Okay, then I move that we close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Valerie, you have a special permit resolution ready?
Sure. Whereas the applicant is seeking special permit approval for an accessory dwelling unit, the property is located at 130 Bel Air Drive. Now therefore be it resolved, the planning board of the Village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application for special permit for the accessory dwelling unit is granted subject to the following conditions. Approved plans refer to plans dated February 3rd, 2025. Specifically, the expiration and renewal of accessory dwelling units should be in accordance with section 300-39D. All changes of building ownership require reinspection per 200-4-21 of the village code, and change in the building ownership requires a transfer of the special permit for an existing permitted accessory dwelling use.
I make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Thank you.
I have a procedural question. Can you just remind me with special permits, what happens now? Does it go to does the Board of Trustees, does the BOT? They're not involved in any way.
We're not.
This is the end of the,
Yeah.
okay, no.
Okay, the next item.
So sorry to interrupt for you. So this just goes straight to the building department now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much for your time. Appreciate it.
The next item on the agenda is 49 Clinton Avenue, the Master School, public hearing for site plan approval for proposed installation of paved parking area and related stormwater management improvements. I move that we open the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Hello.
All right, are you ready to present?
I don't have a presentation, but I'm here to answer any questions. We've been working with the engineer, the town engineer, and our civil engineer on a couple of items. We're moving from a detention system.
Excuse me, can you identify yourself, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Dan Ferreira. I'm Director of Operations with the Masters School.
Please go ahead.
Oh, so we've been working on changing our design from a detention system to an infiltration system, and there were a couple of other options that we were looking at. I think Anthony can talk more about this. And this is Anthony, our civil engineer.
Good evening. Anthony Catalano with Woodard & Kern. As Dan said, at our last meeting, we're encouraged to look at infiltration as a potential option on site in lieu of discharge to a downgradient catch basin. And so we went ahead and did that. We've been coordinating with Mr. Oliveri with respect to the test results, which I'm happy to say they do support infiltration on site. We went ahead and provided Mr. Oliveri with a site plan to illustrate the location of the proposed infiltration system. And then we then in turn received some comments, albeit somewhat minor. And we fully plan to address those comments. We did respond in an email back to Mr. Oliveri that our intention is to respond to those comments. And just to kind of give you an idea, one of the comments was to make sure that the survey that's included with the plans is signed and sealed, which the school fully intends to do. Of course, natural course of the design process is to provide details and a more detailed layout of what's being proposed, which is not surprising, and that's fine, straightforward. And then, in addition, there was a suggestion by Mr. Oliveri to include a level spreader for any of the overflow water from the infiltration system in lieu of a riprap channel, which we agree with, and we're fine with that, and that will be included in there as well. Will help to prevent erosion and, to a certain extent, dissipate the flow as well.
What is that, Anthony?
So instead of creating kind of like a point discharge out on that lawn, it spreads it out.
Okay.
Kind of replicates like a sheet flow, so I just wanted to.
Almost like an apron, so to
Right,
speak.
right.
Yeah. So it's a larger area that the flow is spread across.
Makes sense.
So that'll reduce velocities as you would expect, and
Less erosion.
yeah, and we think that's fine. So we're all prepared to do that, and our intent is to continue to coordinate with Mr. Oliveri. And at this point, if there's any other questions, happy to answer them. But that was the reason why we had that communication with the engineer, just to make sure we're on the same page and try to be as responsive as we could. So,
Thank you.
So are those reflected in a new set of drawings, or that's just a verbal agreement?
so the initial drawing was to communicate what the plan is, right, in concept. And so now it's, and this sort of design is straightforward. It's a matter of providing more details per Mr. Oliveri's request, and we're going to do it anyway, so the contractor can follow those details to build it out in the field. And yeah, so there'll be a subsequent package that'll be sent over to Mr. Oliveri for him to look at.
Okay, thank you.
But again, it's all very straightforward, and in our opinion, I don't know, what do you think, Ann?
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Anthony, do you feel this is far enough along to approve it this evening?
Yeah, I have no issue if the board would want to approve it this evening. They submitted calculations. They demonstrated that the system is sufficient up through the 100-year storm. And it's just a matter of incorporating those details into the, the overall plan set.
I guess I appreciate this, but I want to push a little harder on something, which is and I feel a little bit vindicated because I saw that the memo from the county planning office is, I guess, thinking along the same lines, which is, it seems like this is sort of an opportunity to kind of demonstrate some green infrastructure things here. That might be some either permeable paving, you know, the block type of permeable paving, or having a bioswale along the edge where you could sort of have plantings and take a lot of the runoff that goes in there. I feel like, it's, you know, this is an educational institution, and I feel like that would be a nice thing to be able to demonstrate. And the other thing that the county brought up, which I had not thought of, and I think it is becoming more and more a real issue, is having some number of electrical vehicle charging stations here. You know, we're getting to the point where we ask it of, you know, any development of a scale where they actually are building a parking lot. You know, we require or always promote the idea of providing some electrical vehicle charging stations. And at some point, you know, I think even the sort of the lawn equipment that you use, this may be a few years away, but I think this is the direction in which the village is moving, are going to be electric. And so I feel like there's sort of an opportunity here to kind of, I think, do this the right way, which is to not only have an infiltration system, but to have a kind of a more creative landscape strategy at the edge, this kind of bioswale idea, and to have some number, 2 or 3 electric charging stations here.
Would the charging stations be for car and
For for cars. Well, they could be, well, no, because I don't think, I mean, there should ultimately, in the other parking lots unrelated to this, over time, I would hope, the master school will put in electric charging stations for cars and for bicycles. I was thinking really just for the cars, for people who work there and park and have an EV. And it's more and more of that.
I see a lot of kids on bikes now, on the e-bikes.
Right.
thing.
Well, hopefully, the master school is thinking about putting in e-bike charging stations in places where the students, faculty come. But I feel like if we're going to do this, if you're going to like remake this thing, I feel like this is like the moment to do some of that.
Well, let me ask about it holistically. Do you have electric charging stations at other locations? You want to
Yeah, please.
speak to that?
Yeah, go, yeah.
Please use the microphone.
By our middle school out front, we have a dual charging station with 2 spots labeled for EV. We're planning on putting in 2 more once our Strayer renovation's done. So we will have 4 on campus that are open to everybody. I also have another one on the head of school's house, and I'm planning on putting another one down in our cul-de-sac. So we should have about 6 within the next 12 months.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. So I don't know, so maybe it's not necessary here. I do think that doing a little bit more landscape-wise in terms of green infrastructure would be something to demonstrate here. I think it would be both. I know you're putting in some shrubs along the one edge, the long edge of the parking lot. I think it'd be nice if that was a little bit more robust than just the spotted shrubs, and doing kind of bioswale there with some real plantings in it, I think could be nice for the people that live on the street below, and an opportunity to demonstrate sort of green infrastructure ideas that the village is getting more and more behind.
I mean, we could certainly look at that. I think that the intent is with the design, the way we're thinking about it now, is that the amount of volume of overflow that you would expect from the system that's being designed, I just don't know how much that green infrastructure is going to really benefit the areas, you know, in terms of how much flow it'll actually get in any given time. But certainly we could take a look at it and see if it makes sense from a, you know, technical and ecological standpoint. And yeah.
If you would, and because I think the landscaping to me still looks a little bit anemic. Like I feel like, you know, people do see it from the, I went down there again today, and people do see it from the street, and I think it'd be, I don't know, it's nice if it was just a greener edge, visible greener edge.
Have you, as a team, looked at the Westchester County Planning Board memo? Have you read that?
I'd have to ask our designers to what extent they've looked at it. They did look at quite a bit of existing information.
Pretty much touched on,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, well, there were a couple of other things about traffic demand management and stuff. But it focused, it had the stuff I was just talking about, of course, that, you know, they mentioned.
Yep.
And that's something that we have talked to the purchasers about in terms of working on
Please tell us who you are and.
Brad Schwartz from Zarin and Steinmetz, representing Master School. To try to reduce the amount of cars coming to campus is something that we committed to the Board of Trustees that we would look into and come up
That's
with again, a holistic sort of parking management plan for the overall campus.
Yeah. Did they direct you to what the Mercy University has done? Because they embraced that, and they actually did a bunch of things. I don't know how effective they all were, but they
have, as well as the village's traffic committee we're talking to. So
Right.
we're trying
That's
to
good.
work that all out.
Great.
And
Okay.
and Mr. Lane, we're happy to, as a condition, to further explore, as Mr. Carolano said, the bioswales, or at least to make the landscape a little bit more robust than what it is now.
That sounds great. Good, thank you.
Valerie, have they completed the environmental assessment form to your satisfaction?
So they provided part one, I provided this board part two and part three, so that you could potentially issue a negative declaration tonight, if you so choose.
And we did revise the EAF, Valerie, as you requested, to reflect the infiltration system.
That's correct. And for the most part, this particular project isn't really impacting any major natural resources on site because it's already a developed site to a larger extent. It is a lawn, and they are providing infiltration of stormwater. So that actually reduces the potential stormwater outflow.
And regarding the Westchester County Planning Board memo, where do we stand with that? Can you talk to that for a second?
Yeah, I think, well, right now, I mean, these are technically recommendations, but the Westchester County Planning Board likes to see how things get resolved. Sometimes they'll ask for the results of those. So the stormwater management, I think, is being dealt with as based on their comments. The transportation demand management plan, I think, is also being dealt with in a future work with the village board. The bike parking, I don't think they mentioned, they talked about that. There was a comment by the Westchester County that they encouraged the applicant to include bike parking areas for the students' visitors. We don't know if maybe you have it in other locations on site that it would be more appropriate, or if this would be appropriate here. And then the green building technology in terms of the electric vehicle, which they've already addressed. And then the universal design, and we actually looked at that because they raised some questions about ADA regulations, and I believe there are going to be a couple ADA spaces.
Two ADA
Did you want to
spaces.
talk about that?
Oh, it was just the two, there are two ADA spaces provided. Just thinking about the green infrastructure, maybe, I would say maybe not permeable pavement because you're already doing an infiltration system.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something with the level spreader could be incorporated into like a bioswale type of level spreader, maybe plantings in that, maybe that's an idea to look at.
What does the level spreader, I'm sorry, what does level spreader look like? Is it
Level
like?
spreader oftentimes could be, sometimes it's concrete actually.
Huh.
Try to create like a level area that
Like a
the water,
trough?
like a kind of a trough that then would spill over down the hill. It could be gravel. It could be like a gravel berm set up in like a bioswale type of thing, It could, you can get creative with something like that and maybe kill two birds with one stone there,
Yeah.
with something.
Okay.
Right, and also I just want to make note that these comments were based upon the original plan before the infiltration was proposed too.
Okay.
Okay.
And Valerie, to answer, that there is bike parking, bike racks in front of the Fonseca Center, as
Okay.
well as elsewhere on the property.
Great.
Right.
All right, so do we need to vote on the negative declaration?
I have it as part of your resolution.
Okay.
You can declare.
Just if there's any public comment.
Oh, yeah. So it's a public hearing. Would anybody like to speak to this application? Please,
You come up, please.
come up to the microphone, tell us who you are. where you live.
Christine Perez, I'm on the corner of Clinton and Brace. I'm just trying to understand how many parking spaces, whether it's the same number, I thought 49, but I'm not sure whether that remains the same, that the construction was going to be done this summer. And that you were also going to try and encourage some of your students to park there and stop taking up spaces on Brace. What's particularly difficult on Brace, I don't know whether it's a student or a teacher, there is a huge construction truck that parks on Brace. Now, the problem when that happens is that if there happens to be parking on the other side, because we're all allowed to park on the other side, buses, delivery trucks, and fire engines can't get by. So I don't know whether that's something that you can speak to, because, you know, to have a huge construction truck parked the entire day on Brace is an imposition. So you've answered most of my questions. That's the concern is,
Right.
and the parking has been a big concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that touches on a safety issue. Dan, do you have any thoughts on what residents can do if their street's blocked for an extended period and fire trucks can't get through, for example?
Yeah, it would be more the police department, but,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so it sounds like the right move is to contact the police and ask them to gently move them along. Find another location that's less disruptive.
As a practical matter, what happens? The delivery can't be paid. We've had a couple of the trucks take all the orders. And that bad. The school buses, usually they have two people, so somebody comes off the school bus and tries to guide the school bus through the.
Oh, that's not good.
Which, you know.
Yeah, that's not
I mean,
good.
it's supposed to be residential. So, you know, I think that, I don't know whether it's a teacher who has this truck or whatever, we're all very ill.
All right, thank you. Sir, would you like to speak?
Hi, my name is David Tabakoff, 20 Brace Terrace. And I think for many months we were at loggerheads with Master School because of the parking situation both on our street and Clinton. And Masters has agreed to build this parking lot. They're trying to get it done by the fall. I implore you, any delay based upon swales or EV is going to delay this thing. We want to get it done. Then Masters can help alleviate the problem of the fire trucks, the ambulance on our street, and also alleviate the parking on Clinton. So I hope you guys, you have all the material. I hope it's a yes, and we can move forward on this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to this? Please.
Daniel Burgess. I'm a member of the CAB and also representing the CAB on the Comprehensive Plan Committee. And I just want to reinforce the importance of the green infrastructure. Just a general comment, I totally appreciate the importance for the neighbors of getting this done. The process does feel rushed, so the CAB, Conservation Advisory Board, has been discussing it as well, and so, in line with what was already discussed with Westchester County, encouraging the applicant to explore additional at-grade stormwater management solutions that treat runoff on site wherever possible, and installation of vegetative rain gardens. And even the if you think that asphalt is fine because of the system, the Westchester County also indicates that subsurface stormwater quality and retention systems can diminish effectiveness over time. And I think we have seen that along Esterwood Avenue and down the walking paths and so on. And I don't know if that is because the systems aren't being maintained there, but stormwater is it's a concern. So. And the stormwater going down, obviously all the way down Vickers Creek, and at the end of Vickers Creek, there are issues there. So it is really important to address this. And also with the comprehensive plan, it's obviously in development, but some of the recommendations is for the village to look at green stormwater infrastructure and groundwater look at rain gardens, bioretention, and so on. And also to educate residents on natural stormwater management practice and provide resources regarding green infrastructure. So this is a great opportunity for an important institution in the village to be a forerunner in that, and to educate people and look in the future for green infrastructure and so on. If one of the CAB members had looked at permeable an alternative to asphalt, so there are lots of options. Just pass this on to you. You're probably aware of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify, just understand that an infiltration system is a green practice. It's recharging groundwater. It's putting the water back into the ground instead of putting it into the storm system. So anything added to that is just a plus. That's why it wouldn't really make sense to do something. If you're going to do the infiltration, it wouldn't make sense to say do permeable pavers or pavement system that's permeable, because it's kind of the same thing. You're infiltrating into the ground either way. So just keep that in mind, but maybe they could incorporate something into the outfall, with a little more greenery.
Right.
That might be the thing to do here.
I mean, whatever non-point source pollution,
Right.
tail pipe stuff is on the asphalt, that gets captured presumably.
That's going into the system, and that any of that kind of so-called first flush water quality rainfall is almost going to be completely percolated, or it will be completely percolated into the ground. It'll only be the largest storms that will have some discharge.
Still, I think, to Daniel's point, I think we were saying this before, it's kind of for like an educational
Yeah, no, there's
a demonstration.
There's that aspect too. Yeah,
Yeah,
you could do
of
different
like how
types of practices to kind of educate different ways to do, because the underground stuff you can't see. Really,
Right.
So it's not
Right,
good for
yeah.
that.
Can I speak?
Sure.
And by the way, I don't think any of this should necessarily add time in anticipating the gentleman coming. Right, the idea is to get this done this summer while school is not in session, and I don't know that anything that we're proposing here is going to stop that from happening, right?
Well, I think if the board kind of directs them to add something to the plan, we could certainly look at it on the staff level and just make sure it gets incorporated.
Well,
Right.
could we look at a greener solution than a concrete slab for the spreader?
Sure, I'm sure
you be
they'd
willing to-
they can
I mean, have you I don't know if you said you had been there. Right now, there's a big dirt patch.
Yes, it's,
Okay, an ugly dirt patch. These guys, and again, I'm no fan of how Master School has handled this over the years, but they're planning a solution to what is now a dangerous situation on Clinton and a bad situation on Brace Terrace. And if we're going to sit here and somehow inadvertently, because now the staff goes, well, I don't know about this or that, move it down, and now it's November, December for this thing to be finished, that's not good. So again, I implore you guys, I appreciate conservation, but this is not the place to start adding steps that are going to delay this project? Thank you.
Well, I think that's for the,
Please, if you'd like to say something.
I think that's for the master school to,
I have one
Demonstrate.
additional comment. The master school has many activities that require multiple buses. I hope that they also insist, because many of these are over weekends, that buses should be parked on the property, not on Clinton. They really did a number on us last year for something, and all of Clinton Avenue was filled with buses that made Saturday traveling almost impossible. So that's another thing that and with the Fonseca Center, they have a lot of county-wide activities there. And we, in addition to putting up with master school students during the week, that was most inconsiderate. So that's another thing that.
right, so I have a question about that, actually. If the master school or any of the big institutions is going to wants to stage a big event, do they have to submit any kind of plan for how they intend to manage it?
For a permanent or like a?
No, like this kind of thing. If they're having some big event and there's going to be 5 buses, do they have to say how they're going to manage it that day?
We don't usually ask for a parking plan, there's no permit really. We do a tent permit or something.
But there must be some threshold where an event requires additional scrutiny.
Usually they deal with the police a lot too, like for the parking or the shuttles or what they're doing with that. Usually that doesn't come through the building department so
Yeah.
much.
No, I guess it's not a building department thing, but I think it's not,
Sometimes they will have a parking plan, but.
it's not unfair
Yeah.
for the people that live around the master school for there to be some protocol for events that are going to be above a certain size, for them to coordinate with
Right.
the village and have, I don't think it has to be a big deal, but maybe they tell some people that they don't get, there's a row of cars that can't park there because that's where they're going to put the bus that day, and those cars have to find parking on Clinton, but at least you don't have buses parked on Clinton. I mean, I don't know what they would do exactly, but I don't know, it doesn't seem unreasonable.
Right, but that's not really the application before this board, and that would be something that the village board would take up.
Yeah, that's true.
Thinking
We're getting, yeah, sorry.
I do have one more question. Daniel, so we bring up permeable pavers and other permeable surfaces for parking and driveways and things like that all the time, and maintenance is always an issue with all of them, okay? Permeable asphalt gets clogged, pavers get clogged. I mean, so do you have additional information that we could look at as the planning board on that?
Yes, I've met you that suggested one, so I'll forward that.
Okay, if you want to forward it to me, I'll get it to the board. Thank you.
Okay. So how do we act tonight? Is there like-
I don't have any additional questions. Does anybody
I
else?
just have a quick question. It looks like this area, I think you have stated before that this is already being used for parking. How many additional spaces are you creating? Like how many cars are already parked in this dirt parking lot, and how is this, pulling? Yes, I guess, it's how many extra spaces are we talking about, or is this more to incentivize people to park in that lot?
It's hard to say how many, because I don't have any spaces there now. I don't have lines. I'm estimating about 30 spots or so now. We're going up to, I think, 47, if I remember correct, 49. So quite a few additional. The footprint is expanding a little bit, but not that much. We have been working on our Clinton Avenue large bus situation. I became aware of it last year. This is something that I've been working with the Director of Security on. We're pulling all the buses internally. We are working on all of these things. I would like everybody to know that.
Yeah, here's the meeting.
Thank you.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah, okay.
It's in this whole.
John, did you want to?
Chris, we did walk with Dan Dan and I. And the cars we saw parked there that day were maintenance crew.
Okay.
Which they have in a separate plan, gravel spots where the maintenance crew are gonna go.
Yeah, two I saw.
So it's really almost a net gain of all of the spots they're putting in.
Okay.
That's great.
No, and
And I've
Clinton is
driven-
stressed.
Yeah.
I've driven up Clinton on the worst of days, and like 42 cars fit on Clinton. So, in actuality, there should be no cars on Clinton with a net gain of 49. Just to
Yeah,
give you a little
that's
back.
good.
Anybody else have questions or comments?
Nope.
Any members of the public? Anything else to say? I move that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have a planning resolution?
Yeah, before we get started, I just want to clarify. So one of the conditions that we're going to be adding to this resolution, I kind of wrote something, I wrote additional landscaping and green infrastructure will be provided by the parking lot. Is that sufficient? Do we need to expand that a little bit more or make that a little bit more detailed, Anthony?
Wait, tell me again what you were going to.
Additional landscaping and green infrastructure will be provided by the parking lot.
Yeah. No.
Well, I mean, I think
I
think they can because I think we're trying to figure out the conditions, right? If there's.
But then one of the conditions is that they shall.
Well,
No, I
think,
understand, but
you
we
know,
don't- I don't know.
Landscaping can be added no matter what.
What?
Whether or not it's gonna be incorporated into a green infrastructure practice, if that's practical there.
Right, that's what.
Maybe that's the thing to consider,
Right.
you know?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was talking to the engineer at the same time. It sounds like the landscaping, we could certainly commit to, but the green infrastructure, what I'm hearing from the engineers, is something that we do need to look into to see if there would be a benefit from, again, the water, because of the infiltration, as Mr. Oliveri mentioned, there may not be any additional green infrastructure that is practical and feasible. So that we commit to exploring and evaluating. The landscaping we can commit to enhancing.
So how am I writing it? Because I don't know how do you want me to
I think it's
write?
what you said.
No, because now we're saying green infrastructure may be explored.
we could
Who makes the final determination?
The satisfaction of the engineer,
Is that, okay.
reasonable satisfaction.
So that they'll convince Anthony whether it works
Well,
or
on the
not.
landscaping side, I like someone else to look.
Yeah,
at
no,
it.
on the landscaping, they're committing to doing landscaping, and we'll look at that.
Yeah, and then we.
But you'll see if whether the green infrastructure piece makes sense or not.
Okay.
But they're committing to studying it.
Okay.
Valerie's firm could certainly look at the landscaping piece as well.
Right. So we're gonna say the green infrastructure included by by the parking lot, or is it by the outfall that you were talking about, or do we just want to say
Just
additional
say
green
additional
infrastructure?
green infrastructure at the parking lot.
To be evaluated.
Can we leave it at that? Gonna-
Should be evaluated and reviewed by the village engineer.
Due to the satisfaction of the.
You guys okay with that?
Same for your satisfaction. I think it's the same.
The green infrastructure to be evaluated is very vague.
Yeah, I know.
It is. It's okay.
So either we have to take the wording out and just say, put in additional landscaping, and look at possibly, instead of a level spreader, doing a bio spreader. That's more,
To the point.
yeah. Just to have it evaluated, who's gonna determine if they evaluated us?
Yeah.
Well,
the
Anthony
engineer.
would.
Well,
Anthony.
I don't provide.
They're committing to
They shall
studying.
provide additional landscaping to the satisfaction of whoever you want to look at that. And they shall evaluate the incorporation of additional green infrastructure and to the satisfaction of the village engineer.
Right.
And incorporate that green infrastructure to the satisfaction.
Yeah,
of the village engineer.
that sounds right.
We're trying to get you out of here.
School ended today. We're ready to build a parking lot.
Or it's not
Yeah.
just evaluated.
All right, so additional green infrastructure will, to be evaluated and reviewed to the satisfaction of the village and, additional, say that again?
Be evaluated and incorporated.
And
into
incorporated,
To
okay.
the satisfaction of the village engineer. Not just evaluated.
Okay. All right, we ready?
Please.
Whereas the applicant is seeking site plan approval to construct a new 41-space paved parking lot with 2 dedicated ADA compliant spaces and associated stormwater management facilities to be located at the Esterwood Mansion and Carriage House, and the creation of 7 additional spots adjacent to the Carriage House for parking of maintenance vehicles. The project is located at 49 Clinton Avenue. Whereas now therefore be it resolved, the planning board of the Village of Dobbs Ferry finds that the project is a type 1 action under seeker, and based upon the review of the EAF Part 1, 2, and 3, and all application materials, the consultants' reports that were prepared for this action, the planning board adopts a negative declaration in connection with the project, and be it further resolved, the planning board of the Village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application for site plan approval is granted subject to the following conditions. Refers to the site plans dated March 12th, 2025, and the technical memorandum and stormwater management plan dated May 21st, 2025. The following conditions before the chair may sign the site plan and approval. The site plan specifically deals with addressing the full satisfaction of the village engineer, all outstanding stormwater maintenance agreement, and engineering issues. It also specifically says all proposed lighting must comply with section 341 of the zoning chapter. Additional landscaping shall be provided to the lot, by the parking lot to the satisfaction, and I'm going to say of the building department, because that gives the building department the purview to have somebody else review it if they need to. And additional green infrastructure to be evaluated and incorporated to the satisfaction of the village engineer.
All good?
No,
Okay, I make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And since you can, just to answer the earlier questions about schedule, since you, even though it's conditional with this, we haven't delayed, you can start the work that you want to start, presumably, right, without.
Yes.
We have to get a building permit,
Yes.
right?
You
And
have
he has
to-
to submit the
Right,
revised
I know, I understand that, but I just wanted
There
to
is
be
no
clear.
rushing.
I just wanted to make clear, you got the thing you needed from us to keep on your schedule.
We appreciate you guys keeping us on track. We are on schedule, and we appreciate your diligence to get us through this process as quickly as you did, so thank you.
Great,
Sounds good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is 34 Clinton Avenue, public hearing for site plan approval for proposed amendment of approved plans for change and retaining wall on the west side of the property. I move that we open a public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. They were fighting over.
I have a,
No, this is, they're taking a terraced wall, 2 walls, and making it a single wall.
Oh,
right,
And when you look at the plan, it makes huge sense to me,
Right.
actually. So
Really?
It's a big improvement, yeah. You can
Okay.
get equipment around the outside of the building, and the one wall alone is not as high as the 2 walls together,
Hello,
and it's better material.
my name is Miguel Sastre. I was the person who phoned in for
Oh.
Chestnut.
too late.
Well,
Can you sit down for right now? We're going to handle this, and then we'll get to you, okay? But thank you for letting us know.
Good evening.
Is there anyone to speak to this?
There's somebody up.
Okay.
My name is Vadiola. I am landscape architect from Louis Lusco Landscape Architect Office, and I will present today 34 Clinton. We are proposing one concrete segmented wall where we previously had 2 concrete walls, each of maximum 5 foot tall. In an effort to provide for a wider planting terrace for the proposed trees and shrubs, and in response to the existing site condition, the single 6-foot concrete retaining wall has been recommended. Our planting plan has been adjusted accordingly with the quantity, size, and specification of trees and shrubs maintained or increased slightly to accommodate the new layout. Where we previously specified a fastigiata tree, narrow form tree. Now we have a deciduous tree in the same location. We are now able to provide water growth habits for improved screening of the proposed wall and building height. In conclusion, we feel that the proposed amended plan is an improvement for the original double walls, allowing for larger plant material and for better screening. Also, the proposed segmented wall is more in keeping with the residential aesthetic of the area. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
questions?
Yeah. So I guess, do you have, I looked back, actually, well, first of all, I want to say that I think the project is looking really good. From Clinton, and I spent some time on the backside, but looking from where the apartments are, looking at kind of where this wall was built. So, and I looked back, and I was trying to find renderings. I guess my concern about it is whether or not the scale, like I feel like there have been lots of situations like this where we've been confronted with a wall like this and we try to get it stepped so that there's an intermediate place where there can be additional planting. The idea being that whatever grows at the top of the wall can kind of flow, fall over it or grow up out of that intermediate bed and up onto the wall and so on. And was it not were there no render? I thought but I may not be remembering correctly. I thought there was actually a rendering from the back, like providing this kind of view of like looking whatever direction it would be, kind of west and kind of east and north, I guess.
We did have renderings of the original submission, but when we showed the two segmented but two walls. However, we did not see it necessary for this submission to do a render. We do have a detail of the wall, of the proposed wall.
I see, I mean, there's a section. I see the section through it.
A section of it.
Is there do you have the site section of what that was originally?
If I may, I'm not sure if you're hearing me also. I'm sorry, I'm at an event. Hi, hi, this is Louis, and I know I had presented, and that you can bring up the old renderings if you can, but the problem we were having out on site with the renderings is that the planting areas were so narrow, and the building, in addition to the grading and the 6-foot one wall works better, I can now go with a much larger tree that will have enough room. We now have 10 feet of planting area before where I had barely 5 foot, where the ball of the tree was just going to be so restricted. I had to go with a very narrow species of tree. I now can come with a much larger tree. Your point is a valid one about terraced walls being able to step up and screen more. But what's nice about this is John, the builder, who I believe may be on the call also, in the grading of we had the engineer, they worked out the lower grading somewhat, that we lifted it up a little bit more so we're not as severe the drop in front of the walls of the new wall, where I think that we're still putting in some pretty large shrubs down below that wall, which the 6-foot wall is going to be within a few years covered. And it allowed me to go with some really nice plant material in this wall to really block the higher wall area.
Okay, because in the section, the grade coming off the bottom of the wall, I don't know if it'll really be this way in every location, but it's looks quite steep, like it falls away really quickly. But you feel like you can...
Yeah, we can...
There's enough ground there to plant stuff that'll really grow up and over the wall?
Yep, we lost them.
Oh, here are yeah.
This is an existing rendering which shows the narrow columnar trees. I don't know if this helps.
This is the previous.
This is the previous, yes.
That's the approved.
Yep.
Okay. And so now the wall, where would it?
The wall will be close to the lower wall.
Yeah, if you can point to the kind of like where the line of the wall would be.
If I
I don't know if I'm still on or if I got knocked off, but.
No, you're there.
Okay, great. Yeah, the wall is almost exactly where the lower 5-foot wall is, which will now be 6 foot, because now we have the ability to terrace in that 10-foot area. We can slope it somewhat for those plantings. And I also, I've worked with John before on projects. Fortunately, he'll be able to also create a little bit more of a terrace for me down below in the sense of a flat area where I can plant the plants that we have specified for down there. So, yeah, I mean, and we also have plants you have to remember that haven't gone in yet that are at the property line area, which will help from the apartments block all of this somewhat too.
So it's the orange line is the proposed wall, whereas the dark black line is the previous proposed wall.
And then do the other walls go away?
Yes.
Yeah,
Both of the other
yeah.
walls?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be a lot wider, the space for them.
Uh-huh.
What they did, they regraded, as I said, they regraded that back area and kind of graded
Yes.
up into it now. So you got like a larger, more connected area, actually. now.
Great, okay. Okay,
I personally think this is a win.
great.
for everybody.
Yeah, I like it.
No, I'm convinced.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure. So Valerie, you do not have resolutions for this. You know,
So I think, right, so I think we just need to decide if this is just, if the planning board's gonna waive like site plan requirements, I can do,
This is an
I can
amendment.
easily do a AHRB resolution now, just verbally, and then I'll just.
Let me just see if anybody wants to
Yeah.
speak to this application. Is anybody here to speak to this application? Anybody online?
Good.
Yes.
So I move that we close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So whereas, hold on, let me just, okay.
Valerie's getting the instant resolution.
Yeah, so whereas the Architectural and Historic Review Board is, whereas the applicant is seeking AHRB approval to replace the retaining wall design, now therefore be it resolved, the AHRB of the Village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings of reasoning set forth below, the application for Architectural and Historic Review approval is granted subject to the following, and it will refer to the plans that are dated May 2025.
I make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
About waiving the site plan. Should we vote on that as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so I move that we waive site plan on this wall change.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, if you could just hold on one more minute.
Can we do Chestnut?
Yeah, we're going to hold on for that for 1 second. So, Dan, will you,
Oh, yeah.
will you speak about where we are with the Knoll today?
Yes. So I received the following email today, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it says, it's addressed to me, it says, Dan, I am writing to apprise you and the village that Mr. Cortese and Hillside are no longer the contract vendee of Lot 151 and Lot 52 on the Knoll. As such, he is now evaluating how best to proceed with the 2 remaining lots he does own, 147 and 153, and whether to take a very different direction with this matter. Such a change could potentially be far more acceptable to the community in light of the fact that nothing definitive has been determined, yet the overall posture has clearly changed. We would respectfully request that the planning board adjourn this matter to the July meeting. In the interim, we will contact you if we are formally withdrawing or modifying the application. We appreciate the patience of the village staff and planning board. I suspect that this will be our final request for an adjournment. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. And it's signed by David Steinmetz of Zarin and Steinmetz.
Should we vote on adjourning?
Yes.
We vote on what?
Adjourning.
Just to adjourn it to July.
Or the four,
Then I just have a,
the 4 items, I move that we adjourn to the July 10th meeting.
Is that it? Yeah.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Who was the second, Steve?
Me,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
thank
have
you.
I have a question, just of the, in the picture in my mind, of, there's the drive and the 4 lots. Do you know which are the 2 that are that are now where the
Right, so.
contract is in question versus the 2 that he still owns?
Yeah, so as you come into the roadway, it's the corner lot on the right, the one that was going to have all the utilities and all the drainage there. And I believe it's the Hammerhead,
The one on the left?
correct. That
So
Hammerhead lot.
the first
it was
2, one on the right,
First
one on the
2,
left.
left and right.
Correct.
The first 2 are what? The ones that
He owns.
he still owns?
They own, yes. And then the rest, the 2 other ones that were part of this application have been sold or canceled or whatever. He no longer owns them or has the right to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not taking questions about this evening. Let's move on to 7 Chestnut. Glad you made it through traffic. State your name and address.
My name is Miguel Sostra. I'm the architect for the owner of 7 Chestnut. When the house was originally purchased, it had an existing non-conforming patio at the back, which exceeded the lot coverage of the impervious lot coverage of the property. The homeowner at that point extended it and made it bigger. And the town was called by someone, and it had to be, it was brought to their attention that some work was being done without a permit, so that's why I am here. I had recently completed work on 7 Chestnut, doing the similar type of work, which was a patio and small retaining wall at the back. So we are now proposing that his enlarged patio be cut down to conform, so it will be smaller than it originally was when he purchased the property, but it now conforms to the impervious surface zoning requirements by the town. With that, a small hill that was at the back of his property was also cut into, and a wooden fence, which is image 2, was placed there, which he was informed was also not allowed, not conforming, that he would have to get a permit for that. So I am here for that also. So I'm showing his patio being cut down to 144 square feet, which allow it to conform to the town regulations, and a mesa block retaining wall being placed at the back where the wood wall was placed in front of the soil that was cut back. That is image 8 on the drawing. Pretty much this will bring the property to conformity. And he'll have to remove some stones that he placed to the side of his property, which were not on his property, which were in the commons property. For the work that he has proposed now that I'm standing before you for, he has gotten approval from the association that he lives with, that he lives in. The work that was done prior was not approved by the association, so I'm here trying to correct some errors or some sins. And that's pretty much the long and the short of it.
All right, so Dan, what's involved with getting this, code compliant and, getting documented properly?
Just legalizing it now, this stuff will. Oh, okay, yeah.
So, I was at an inspection on the other job he did at 5 Chestnut. Looked over and saw this giant patio that was just put in, and that's what started the whole thing. When he did the lot coverage, it was like, what, 20% over?
The existing?
What he did now.
Oh, no, he filled up the whole back of his property with patio.
So, to get it into lot coverage, he's downsizing the patio, taking the retaining wall off the HOA property onto his property, and then there's like stepping stones he put on the side, but a foot or 2 off of his house is HOA property now.
No.
No, he's removing those.
Okay.
So do any of these meet the thresholds for site plan?
Not really, no.
Wasn't no, but it didn't move.
Okay. Does anybody want to have any questions, comments?
No.
Anybody in public want to speak to this? Okay. Please come up if you're going to speak. Come to the microphone.
Sorry,
Tell us your name.
Newborn, for you. Yeah, so again, I'm Artem Sivakov. I'm the homeowner of 7 Chestnut Court. The work that I did was by mistake. I emailed Sarah Collins. I asked what we need to do, if we need permits, because we're extending our backyard and we're putting in pavers. We also thought about adding a bathroom downstairs, which we did not move forward with. And our response was like, it depends on the extent of the work, but there was no inclination that we needed a permit or not. So after we had completed the work, John stopped by and asked if we have a permit, which we didn't know we needed. So it's on us. Sorry about that. We tried to play by the rules and do everything right. However, I didn't know the extent of how far we need to go to get all of these approvals. So we went forward with the architect's plan at that time, who was building the backyard, and he put the paving stones there and the wall. The wall, by the way, and Miguel, correct me if I'm wrong, the back wooden wall is 8 or 19 feet away from our house. Our property line is 25 feet away from our house, so we're still on our property. I don't think, John, if I'm wrong, on HOA property, I think we're still within our confines. But we just want to bring this back up to code. We want this problem to go away. Again, my #1 priority now is being a father to our infant son, and we just want to resolve this as quickly and easily and low cost as possible, because we just bought the house and this is a year later. We're spending a lot of resources on raising our child, so we just want to fix this problem as quickly and easily as we can. So again, I'm sorry. I wish we knew how to do this the right way, so now we just want to make things right.
Yeah, just for everybody here and everybody watching, if you do build without a permit, you do have to pay double permit fees. So the village does make it a little bit painful if you go ahead and do this. Anyone else want to speak to this project? No? Valerie, you have an AHRB resolution?
I do. Whereas the applicant is seeking AHRB approval to extend the property is located at 7 Chestnut. Now therefore be it resolved that the, now therefore be it resolved the AHRB of the Village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasonings set forth below, the application is approved, granted to the subject to the following conditions, and it refers to the plan set dated October 22nd, 2024.
I make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
You're good.
Onward.
just coordinate with these guys.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Okay, we're moving on to pre-submission conferences for Planning Board and AHRB. 33 Main Street has been adjourned until the 7:10 meeting. 200 Ashford Avenue, pre-submission conference for site plan approval for proposed new parking lot in the rear of the building and alterations to the first floor. Anthony, you said we still have open engineering items?
Yeah, I believe there's a memo that that I put out for, I think, the first version of this. And so I would just say incorporate, any of those changes and address that with the next submission. I don't think anything new was submitted for this meeting, so.
No, this would be more to just set the public hearing.
Right.
Okay.
So I'd say for the public hearing, I would like to see a full set with all the items addressed.
Okay, is there someone here to,
Good evening, this is Shaheen Badali. I'm the engineer representing the applicant.
okay, did you get all that from Anthony?
Thank you. Yes, it was very clear. I'll make sure that we provide a clear response to each objection.
Okay. Also, I was told that you have all the variances you need at this point, is that correct?
That is correct. We did receive approval of the variances for the site plan that was previously, so there's no changes in terms of the layout that was previously displayed before this board.
Okay.
If you like, I can share my screen to show you once again if necessary.
Well, if nothing's changed, let me check with the board members and our technical teams, and does anybody have anything they want to?
That's fine, they can just,
comment on?
yeah.
Okay, so then I move that we call for a public hearing for the July 10th meeting. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll see you then.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Sure. Okay, the next item on the agenda is 7 Bramley Lane, pre-submission conference for site plan approval for proposed replacement of retaining wall.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to, we talked the other day about how the original application packet didn't have an executed easement, but it looks like on the website, there is an executed easement agreement at this point. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, Dan, if you had a chance to review that. No, I assume it's a legal document, so.
I have, no, it's fine, it's signed by both parties.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is the wall that was discussed like 2 years ago?
2 years ago this month.
Okay.
Good evening again, Brad Schwartz from Zarin Steinmetz. I'm here on behalf of Nancy and Tony Levisanos. Mike McGarvey, the professional engineer who designed the wall, is here. So 2 years ago, almost to the day, your board sent us away and said, don't come back until we have a signed access agreement with the neighbor. We have the signed access agreement. It's to repair and replace the existing wood tie wall with another wood tie wall, so it's a like kind replacement. And we have the neighbor's authorization to proceed with constructing the wall from the neighbor's side of the property line.
Okay, and Anthony, you said you'd seen engineering
Yeah,
documents?
I believe there are calculations, an engineered plan that's included. There was a letter about inspection of the existing steel H-beams. If you recall, the wall had, steel posts and
Right.
wood lagging in between. So the steel is in good shape, according to Mr. McGarvey, and he sized wood lagging in between appropriately, it looks like to me, and so I don't have any issues with it. I think the main thing was just getting the neighbors together on this for the access.
Well, we saw a lot of photographs of the wall last time, so I think we all remember what it looks like.
I should mention, there's actually 2 access agreements, right? There's the one with the lease that frankly took a while, but there's a second agreement as well. So both adjoining neighbors, we now have executed.
Okay. Well, if you can make sure our village attorney
He
sees
has
that.
both.
I have it.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns? All right, I move that we schedule a public hearing for the July 10th meeting. Do I have a second? All in favor? Okay, we'll see you next month.
Thank you. And hopefully a resolution for consideration
That would be our plan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
move it along.
If somebody gets back to you with a memo, just get right on it.
Thank you.
We'll do our best. Everyone would like to see this resolved.
Yes.
The next item on the agenda is 13 Round Hill Road, pre-submission conference for site plan approval for proposed replacement of stone patio with a wood deck.
This is Sijia Lee.
Hi, this is Xiuhuan Yu.
We're the homeowners for this.
Okay, please tell us who you are.
Sijia Lee, Xiuhuan Yu, homeowners for 13 Round Hill Road. We currently have a stone patio. We're seeking to replace it with a wood deck. It will be the ground level, same footprint, and it will be made out of pressure-treated wood and be painted similar color to the adjacent deck of the neighbors. So it will be a uniform look for the Wooden Woods community.
Okay, are you planning on removing any of the stonework underneath it?
We do plan to remove it.
Okay, so actually the impermeable surface will decrease.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I think we should remove them, is my understanding.
Sorry, I didn't mean to, scare you there. And the materials are going to be wood, Trex?
Wood.
Okay.
Their community, their HOA required us to use wood, so we will be complying with that.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Well, I think you answered it. I was going to ask you, when you do work in here, you have to have gotten the approval already of the homeowners association? So,
Looks good.
and there's not much
No,
Anyone else?
to do.
no.
Then I move that we call for a public hearing at the July 10th meeting. Do I have a
Or-
second?
Or can we wait? Okay.
Second?
Yeah, you were, I think, Valerie, you had concerns about just waiving it?
Oh, well, the only reason, I did not, I mean, I can do a verbal resolution right now, but I didn't give you a draft resolution mostly because of the size of the deck, but if,
And it's very close to the neighbors, right?
right, but if the,
Yeah, so
but
let's,
if the HOA has
let's have a
already
public.
approved it, that's, you know.
Right, the homeowners.
Right, so I
Those are
don't,
the
you know,
neighbors.
that's the only thing we were not aware of, that the HOA already approved it.
Okay.
So
Right.
I'll leave it up to the board.
Yeah, let's call for a public hearing next month, and I don't see any reason why we can't approve it then. but-
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Cool. So, I move that we call for a public hearing on July 10th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 306 Clinton Avenue, pre-submission conference for a proposed remodel of finished basement to create an ADU.
Hi, everyone. Andrew Shriver, and this is my wife, Sarah Shriver, owners at 306 Clinton Avenue. We have online, if there are any questions, our architect, Mitch Koch, is available on Zoom right now, so we can call him up on the screen if you'd like to. I can just give you a brief overview of the project. I think some of you know me from obviously my capacity as a lawyer working with different projects around the village, so it's a little bit unusual being in this particular, in these shoes, but
Revenge is sweet.
all I could do is my usual job, which is to point out that I think this project kind of complies with the code and what it's supposed to do. By way of background, we have lived here since 2001, so this is our 24th year in Dobbs Ferry. We literally moved into our first house on Ogden Place the day after our honeymoon. Didn't carry her across the threshold because we were too progressive, but, and we raised our kids here from Springhurst on through Dobbs Ferry High School, and our daughters are in college now. We're extremely proud of them. And we're also, like a lot of homeowners in Dobbs Ferry, trying to do our best to make ends meet while putting our daughters through school. And this program we heard about, right now they're overlapping in college, so we are in those years. We all know what those years mean. And we have this great space, which is an already finished interior basement. You can walk out, you've seen the pictures. There's a sloping yard with an already existing entrance that's already there. We're not touching the exterior other than to do casement windows to ensure that we satisfy egress requirements. We've designed it in a way where there would be air and light plenty throughout the space. We already have windows that are facing the yard. We're not changing any of those. We're making it so the smaller bedroom has more light with 2 bedrooms. That's kind of a kid's bedroom. And then the other one's kind of a master, which will have a sliding wall so that'll get the benefit of the air and light during the day. So we've tried to be as creative as we can with 800 square feet. We think the program is fantastic because it's really designed for people like us who love this village, really have made it our home, want it to be our home, our forever home. You know, it has been. We want it to continue to be, and it's a great opportunity to introduce people to the village. It's the kind of opportunity we had in 2001 when we had our smaller house and moved here and started our kids in the school system. So we applaud the village for it, and you know, we're happy to take advantage of the opportunity if the planning board will allow it. And by the way, in terms of code compliance, I want to thank Valerie Menastra. Saw you last week. Good to see you again. And I read your memo. I understand that we're in compliance, and it's already, we've kind of checked the boxes on that, and I appreciate the work that you did. Thank you.
Okay, that was one of my questions. You had a memo on this. Have they addressed it, or?
Yeah, I went through the different special permit requirements, and they have.
Great.
Okay, well, because this is a ADU and requires a special permit, we do have to call for a public hearing.
Of course.
Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns?
Nope.
No? Okay, well, then I move that we call for a public hearing at the next meeting. Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll see you next month.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
192 Northfield Avenue, pre-submission conference for site plan approval for proposed dormer addition on second floor of home. You have someone to speak to this? Okay. See ya. We can't hear you yet.
Your voice, yeah.
About now.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, Luke Hilbert, the Hilbert Law Offices. I'm here on behalf of the homeowner Sophie Lee and Chen Meng. Miss Lee is also here. I don't know if she wants to pop on or not. So this was before the Historic Review Board. I'm sorry, the ZBA last month. It is an addition of a dormer window on the second floor of the residence. It is the residence as it exists is pre-existing non-conforming as to setback. This will not, this dormer will not increase that nonconformity. It will actually be in the same plane as the existing structure, and it will not change the roof line. So really, it's going to pop out some windows and pop them back in. My client pointed out the other day that it looked like in the scan to this that was presented with this, some of the pages may have stuck. So if you're not seeing a front elevation, I do have it on my computer.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask.
Yeah, we don't have a.
If you could show that.
I'm not sure how. Yeah. Anyway, it's stuck on the. But Miss Lee pointed that out. So I don't know if. Oh, I can share this here, but give me a second.
Side elevation.
And
these are the two short ends.
Oh,
the side facing the street is this elevation, front elevation. No, we're not seeing. Right? You have it in your side.
No, I don't think so. Let's see.
No, I don't have it.
So can
Yeah, we all have the same thing.
is it possible for me to share my screen there? Or is...
Yeah, you should be. Christina, do you have to do something for him to do that? No, it should be there on your
Share? Okay.
screen. At the bottom, maybe?
Yep, I think I got it. Let's try this again. Step one, show. Okay, will that work?
Perfect.
Did that work? Okay. So the bottom portion here, that shows the existing facade. So with the two windows and on the right and the three on there on the left with the door remaining in the middle. And then the bottom on this one shows what it'll look like after. And it'll be uniform throughout. It actually, I think, be more appealing from the street. And as I said, it doesn't change the facade to move it in any way, shape, or form. It just changes the windows there.
It's like a second floor there.
Can you show the before photo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Elevation?
Right here on the bottom.
Oh, I see.
And I may have a visual, like a. I'd say I can pull a picture too if you prefer, but I think that shows. So nothing else will change. None of the other elevations.
Don't make me laugh.
And after again?
Yeah.
Yeah, now, there's nothing here because the footprint's not changing, there's no site plan component.
Right.
Is that correct?
No, it's for the width of the.
It had to come to planning because it went 10 feet.
10 feet out.
Okay.
It received variances because the front plane was already past the setback, and they extended non-conforming. That's why.
But we would be willing to ask to waive site plan on this and maybe just look at the AHRB portion.
I'm
Right.
comfortable with waiving site plan. Let's talk about the other. So I move that we waive site plan on this project. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the AHRB component.
Could look better.
Pretty substantial
What do you mean?
as far as the change of the whole look.
Oh, yeah, but
Almost doubles the front facade, right? Is there anybody from the public who'd like to speak to this application?
Open public hearing?
No,
AHRB, that's right.
We just waived it.
What do the neighboring houses look
Keep it
like?
honest.
I'm just curious.
The neighboring houses are very similar in, well, the houses directly across the street are built on the hillside. So those tend to be larger, kind of built up the mountain there. And on this side of the street, if you're continuing down, a lot of them are older ranch houses that have been dormered previously. It's very consistent with the rest of the neighborhood. And that was actually part of the at the zoning.
Dan, this was fully noticed?
Yes. And that was-
We do have an AHRB resolution.
Yes, we do.
If we're ready for that. Does anybody else have any comments or concerns?
All right, so whereas the applicant is seeking architectural and historic review approval, the property is located at 192 Northfield Avenue. Now therefore be it resolved, the AHRB of the Village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application is approved, granted the following conditions, and it refers to the plan sheets dated October 25th, 2024.
Thank you. Motion. Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
How do we vote?
Huh?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Did everybody vote for it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay,
did.
great.
I'm sorry.
By the time I-
Could everybody raise their hand?
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we
By
did.
the time I turned around, you had them all down. I was like,
Oh,
oh, did I
yeah.
miss something?
Yeah.
Did you vote to waive site plan?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Could look a little bit better, but. we
Okay,
can- Designers.
You're approved. Now you-
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Planning board. I'm
Valerie,
sorry.
you need to read the ARB resolution, or she did?
She did. She did. Everybody's getting tired, including me. Okay, so you're ready to go.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
The next item on the agenda is 120 Sherman Avenue, pre-submission conference for site plan approval for proposed exterior changes to existing home, including one-story addition, dormer, and terrace over garage and small stormwater system. Now, there's no planning component to this, correct? The footprint's not, the footprint is changing, but it's under the
6 square feet or something.
100 square foot requirement or something?
It's,
83 square feet.
why it's a planning?
Why it doesn't need a planning?
I think it does.
It is.
Does?
It does. I provided an AHRB resolution in case you felt that it didn't need site plan.
Okay.
So on certain applications where I think you might.
wanna waive this.
Right, then I just provide AHRB.
I mean, the only thing that's changing is the entryway, right? The front door?
And there's a,
Yeah,
I mean,
think
that changes the footprint.
Yeah,
Right.
the whole entryway there.
Yeah.
Right. And how big is the,
You don't see it.
the increase in square footage?
450 square feet of new impervious or something? Right.
nice drawings.
No, it's drawings. Even seen game. So it was next one.
And the only person seeing that front entrance is the golfers?
Oh, sorry. Can I start? Hi, everyone. I'm Pete Kulik from
Please,
Michael Lewis Architects here at Dobbs Ferry, presenting 120 Sherman for our clients Matthew Resnick and Peyton Levito. Yeah, it's in a weird place. It's not on Sherman Avenue, actually. It's on the golf cart path.
So they actually drive up the golf cart path to get to their driveway?
They do. Yeah, I mean, it's, and they've had, we said you call Google to get it changed.
Yeah, that's the other one over there, yeah.
So that's the 8 hole, and it has to go in, about 200 yards up the path.
120.
To get into the driveway itself. It's a little bit of an unusual location, but a beautiful one. And it is hidden from the neighbors. The two closest neighbors who we've spoken to and have their support are, I believe, 8 Osceola and 26 Osceola behind. The houses on North Mountain are really kind of higher up and almost hard to see, I would say, the house from those properties. So basically, we're doing a one-story entry addition with steps in front and some minor work on the first floor, bathroom renovations. On the second floor, we're also doing some minor bathroom work and also proposing a garage terrace and a dormer, and also reshingling the exterior of the house. So this is the site plan on left, existing and proposed. We are adding 403 square feet impervious surface, and since we've submitted, the clients have said that they want to remove the pool surround, which is a concrete surround on the pool, and that's 1,500 square feet. So then we would be reducing by about 1,200 square feet instead of adding 403 square feet. So
Now, is that part of this project, or is that going to be part of this particular
Yes.
approval?
And that was before we got the memo from Anthony about being over and having the stormwater system requirement. So we're hoping that that might be reconsidered if we're reducing by 1,200
Yeah,
instead
I
of
think
adding.
if you're removing impervious elsewhere on the site, it'll offset.
I mean, and replacing with grass, they want to
Right.
replace with grass.
So is the pool still going to exist?
The pool will still exist, but just, it's got a very large
The concrete around it?
concrete surround around it.
Okay.
It's in bad shape and needs to be replaced at some point anyway.
I'm curious about when this was built in Newport. When was it built? When was the house built?
The house was built, it's done by a city firm that does commercial work mostly, Hardy Holtzman Pfeiffer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
And Tom Pfeiffer,
Yeah.
and like a lot of those houses done by commercial type firms, it's a little unusual.
So did they have, I'm sorry if I missed this, so did they have like just a permanent easement with the golf course to use, or is that not owned by the golf course, that path?
I don't know, and the lot is unusual too, It almost looks like a flag lot. This is lot number 2 here. Almost like, how did they get back to it? 'Cause that's the big lot. And then they've got this other one in front that's combined. So I'm curious too about how it came to be.
Right, anyway.
Then really minor site work, proposing to move one tree that's about 18 inches from the house, relocate another small tree with some small shrubs in front. Just go through the plans quickly. This is the first floor, where we're just doing this small addition in the front here. Doesn't have much of an addition at this point. This is the second floor, looking down onto that addition with the skylight in the middle. We've got the roof deck over the garage on this side. And then onto the elevations. This is just a partial elevation of the front, the existing on the left, and the proposed on the right, with the plans down below. Some of the 3D sketches, you can get a better idea of what it looks like.
These are beautiful drawings.
Oh, thank you. The next is an elevation of the proposed, looking at the end of the garage, the proposed kind of dormer and roof deck on top of it there. And on the opposite side, they've got a dormer, but it's just almost a clear story dormer to get some windows in on the other side. This is a drawing cut through the house, sort of cut through the new entry piece down here, existing on top, and the proposed on the bottom. Again, this is that other wing of the house with this small dormer roof on it. The roofs are really kind of crazy on the house. We did a drone shot just so we could figure out how to draw the roof plan. And then this is the material sheet. They're proposing to reclad the wood siding with new wood siding, and the new plinth or the steps they want to be made out of stone. And it's a pretty simple palette that we're not adding too many materials to. And that's basically the project. On Anthony's memo, I think we had a few points. One was a survey. I don't know why we didn't include that. We have a signed and sealed survey. We spoke to the reduction in the impervious surfaces. And then the last note you had, Anthony, was about, maybe silt fence and construction fence or something along those lines.
Yeah, you just have to include sediment erosion control.
Yeah.
On the plan.
Do they really own Calder Mobile?
Oh, that's my proposal for their new entry.
Oh, of course. Of course, very nice.
Well, the space inside is, it's almost like a 2.5-story volume inside the space there.
That's very neat.
Yeah.
Steve, I really appreciate your drawings, not just because they're pretty, but they're so clear.
Yeah, it's really easy to read these drawings.
For us too.
Yeah, you had to figure it out.
No, I mean, we think we can read drawings just because we're architects, but
Yeah,
it's much easier with some coloring.
yeah, well done. Okay,
So we can waive site plan on this? I mean, especially since the impervious surface is being decreased, I have no problem with that. I don't know, anybody else?
Yeah, no.
Anthony, you had some engineering issues. Are they being addressed?
It's just as he said, it's, if they do the offset in the impervious, that'll take care of the stormwater.
The stormwater can go away.
And just some sediment erosion control details on the plan, that was about it. Pretty isolated.
Okay.
I think it's good.
Okay, so I move that we waive site plan for this project. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And HRB components. Does anybody have any concerns or?
Beautiful.
I don't.
looks great.
Okay. Valerie, you have an AHRB resolution ready?
Yes, whereas the applicant is seeking architectural and historic review approval. The property is located at 120 Sherman Avenue. Now therefore be it resolved, the AHRB of the Village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application for AHRB approval is granted subject to the following conditions, and then it refers to the plans dated May 13th, 2025.
I make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They can heckle the golfers from that new deck.
It's so dense there. It's weird. Almost it's set back. It's hard to see.
Well, there are fewer golf balls coming through the windows then. Really.
They really don't even get through the front yards.
Must be good golfers there. The next item on the agenda is 98 Palisades Street Pre-Commission Conference for proposed approval of existing corrected survey of sewer easement from 83 Main Street through 98 Palisades Street property.
Those two items, 98 Palisades.
Yeah.
Both Steve Tilley.
This is
Do you guys have a copy of the updated plat to look at?
It was submitted?
It was submitted.
What? I didn't hear what he asked.
What plans are we missing?
Well, we may not be. Well,
Let's see, 98.
here it is.
There was a new survey prepared by Elliott Senior reflecting the easement, the new proposed easement.
Okay, have you guys seen that?
Is that what I'm looking at here?
I'm sorry?
Easement agreement, survey.
Yeah, I see. It's at
The
the end.
survey
of-
here.
Yeah, I see it here in yellow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the other Dan, have you read it? Are we good with the,
Yeah, I have not seen it, but I could, if somebody has a copy, I could look at,
okay.
quick look at it.
So, but if we call for a,
Oh, if you're doing, yeah.
we have to vote on the easement, but,
Right.
is that right? We just vote on this?
Yeah, I didn't really know, I didn't prepare anything, I didn't know, do you vote, I mean, do they vote on it, or, I don't, it's
Yeah.
not really site,
Yeah, it's not, right, it's,
But look at these, are all different lots.
Is it just a legal thing that?
yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
I think it's-
But is the plat going to change?
Not changing. the easement itself isn't changing.
It is, the size of it
it's
is
shrinking.
changing, and that's what's
What's the
happening.
problem?
Right now,
Oh, I'm
it's really funny. It runs through an existing garage there. They're just trying to make it where the sewer runs for that 6-foot wide easement where it goes between the garage and the other house. Right now, it's like, it gets really wide and incorporates the garage into the easement, which doesn't make sense.
Okay, so what's the approval process, Valerie?
So the easement is this whole.
So we
piece
got
right here?
changes to the easement, so the
Right,
plat has
so
to be
I mean,
updated, right?
Well, I mean,
I think.
That's the original easement.
And then
And he's gonna take it down to 6 foot wide.
right, and I don't think we had an old like, we didn't have an old resolution associated with this, so like, there's nothing to amend a resolution or amend a plan, so that's why I was just kind of, Dan, what we should do for this.
Yeah, I mean, is this related to the next 98?
It is,
It's the same address, not really related.
but it doesn't really affect it.
No.
But should we call for a public hearing next time and approve it as a new plat?
Well, I guess my question was, will the next one also be, adjourned for a public hearing?
They might waive that.
No, we actually have I would propose we waive site plan because they're reducing the impermeable surface and they're making the building smaller, and, other people may feel differently, but.
Gotcha.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I'd really have to take a look at it and how it impacts that. What is it, a garage that goes over?
Yeah, on the property, well, through different corporations, property owner controlling both properties. Just simply it was overly broad. I'm just trying to.
It makes perfect sense to everybody here, I think. We just need to know the
The survey
procedure.
prepared, all the meets and bounds were documented, and all of that was submitted.
It used to access in the language.
Yeah, I mean.
I don't think,
One thing at a time, though.
Yeah.
So we need guidance from our professionals here.
right, so my suggestion on the easement is, I need to take a look at it. I need to take a look at what it relates to, if there's a survey or what's an existing site plan or whatever. I don't think a public hearing is necessary.
Okay, you just need another month
Yeah, but
to look at that. Okay.
Exactly.
So we're going to push that off for one more month for the easement.
Without a public hearing, so.
I don't see anything here that's going to cause any issues, but
No, it's just.
he's got to review
it's
it.
just,
Can you have that thing for public hearing or something?
Well, I'm sorry for the delay then.
Okay.
Okay. So let's move on to the next 98 Palisades Street item. It's the same property. Can you walk us through the project, please?
So should I address both properties at the same time?
Well, they are basically the same, right? Yeah, let's,
So, there's some things I'm working on in terms of what I want to do longer term with the properties. One of the things would be to reduce the size of the existing homes and change them from multifamily to single family.
okay, the elements that you're proposing to remove were additions, right? They don't look like they were part of the original architecture.
No, that's correct. There were additions that probably go back 50-plus years. Both homes are very old. So I'm looking to take the additions down and again, convert 98 from a 3-unit to a single family and reduce 104 Palisade from a 2-family to a single family. And from an interior standpoint for each, at 98, I'll be putting a new kitchen in on the first floor, new bathroom in on the second floor. And then we're looking for a dormer on the second floor, just for part of the back roof. just to give some additional headspace in the bathroom and a laundry area. So that's 98.
That's 98 or 104?
That's 98.
Okay.
104, the framing on the roof for that building from the street, it kind of comes down like this, and then it goes out like this. And what we're trying to do without raising the height of the top is just simply to bring it straight out. Provide additional headspace on the second floor. And the same thing there. So I would be adding a new kitchen on the first floor, renovating the kitchen that's actually there, and then adding a bathroom on the second floor.
Okay, and the dormers in the rear of the house?
We're 98 Palisade, yes.
For both, we are planning to have a back
Can you please stand up and state your name and speak into the microphone?
I'm Andreas Hübner from Steve the Architect, and
You have to talk, you have to talk
stand in front of the microphone, please.
And then pat your head and rub your stomach.
Andreas Hübner from Stephen Tilly Architect. I prepared all the plans and submissions. And so both 98 and 104, we are planning a new small addition in the back for back entrance, which will be the main entrance in many places. On 104, this is actually under the existing dormer on the second floor, so there's no no change in the second floor footprint, and on the first floor it's a reduction anyway. So, but for 98, there's a little bump out in the back, where right now there's a huge addition in the back.
And how many square feet is that bump out?
About 30.
Small. Okay, does anybody have any questions?
I mean, as I said, I have the plans here on the sticker.
Well, we're all looking at them here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure, and Steve, Tilly, I'm sure it would be beautiful. But I just have one, I don't want to burn people's time, just curious. Right now, are these rental properties?
They were, well, there's no tenants in the property right now.
And is the notion to sell, like,
So again,
I'm curious what the economic,
I'm looking to do this as part of a broader project. I'm trying to get part of you this evening, but we got pushed back until the next meeting. So it's a broader project, but at least it would give me the opportunity to go ahead and start the work on the existing building.
like going from 3-family to 1 is somehow financially better, like,
Well, in combination with the other plans that we will be coming forward with.
uh-huh. Okay, well, I don't want to talk, I'm curious. I'll talk to Steve, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
So we could waive site plan for these, and we have AHRB resolutions ready. I feel like, the houses are getting smaller, they're going to look better.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys
Yeah.
feel, but
And I'll personally say I regret the loss in density.
Yeah.
Number of units, but
fair enough.
when you're a train, I think it's too bad. But that's why I'll talk to you offline, and Steve, I'm just curious what the ultimate rationale is. Yeah. Cool. But from a site plan and architectural point of view, I don't have any.
Anybody else?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, then 98 Palisade Street. I move that we waive site plan. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Valerie, you have an AHRB resolution?
Yes, whereas the applicant is seeking AHRB approval, the property is located at 98 Palisade Street, or Palisade Street. Now therefore be it resolved, the AHRB, the Village of Dobbs Ferry, determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application for architectural and historic review approval is granted, and it refers to the plans dated March 12th, 2025. And then should I just go into the next one?
Sure.
4 Palisades?
Well, let's vote.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's vote. Sorry.
Okay. So I make the motion. I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I like go-getters.
All right, sorry about that.
All right, so 104 Pallet Street, I move that we waive site plan. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and how are you have a
Yes, I
HRB
do.
resolution?
Whereas the applicant is seeking architectural and historic review approval to make modifications to the exterior. The property is located at 104 Palisade Street. Now therefore be it resolved, the AHRB of the Village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application for AHRB approval is granted subject to the following conditions, and the plan set is dated September 1st, 2024.
I make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're good to go. We just need to clean up the easement issue when you
Yeah,
can.
thank you. So, as it relates to the easement issue, is that something that will come back to the planning board here, or is that something we can resolve through the building department?
Well, Dan has to look at it, right?
Yeah, so
The lawyer.
Dan, the legal's got to look at it,
Oh,
and then,
outside.
and then he'll make a decision on what has to happen.
Yeah,
We're not technical enough to answer that
Right,
question.
and I think it has to come back to the board.
Sorry?
I think it has to come back ultimately. My review will probably be in a memo to the board.
Oh,
Yeah,
So then they would come back next month?
yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay,
you're on the
so
docket
do we
next
want to call
month.
for a public hearing?
I don't know if
No.
No.
We don't need it.
No, I don't think.
Okay.
no.
Don't need it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next month for that, and good luck with starting your job.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the last item is referral from the planning board for the tree preservation zoning text amendments.
Yes.
Valerie, are you the right person to speak to this?
Yeah, I can speak to it. These are recommendations or revisions requested by the Tree Commission. And also, I believe the CAB was involved in this. And part of this has to do with decreasing the diameter breast height from 8 inches to 6 inches for trees. Also creating, one of the concerns that the Tree Commission was having is that people were finding loopholes in the original tree law. And so what they want to do is we created almost like an application, an administrative process so that when trees come down, that there's no longer exemptions for a tree permit, but it would just require a quick administrative review so that then they can go ahead and move forward with tree removal. And that administrative review would deal with like removal of downed protected trees, removal of trees that are found to be dead or dying, removal of protected trees presenting an unacceptable risk to persons, property, or ownership. So it's really creating this administrative approval process. So that's really the crux of it. And then also to allow for shrubs to be equated as part of the replacement, where before it was just only trees.
What, you mean,
So the replacement, the 50% replacement, that they could now, you can include shrubs as part of that calculation as opposed to it only being trees.
how do you calculate the shrub part? I mean, you don't have to go into a detail. I assume
No,
that's
there
been
is-
figured
Rob,
out.
they measure it,
Yeah.
the shrubs more by the gallons,
Okay,
by what size gallon it comes in.
got it.
Now, I had experience that made me a little concerned about the restrictions
Okay.
in emergency removals. I once had a tree get destroyed by a storm, and my driveway was 15 feet deep in large branches. It took me the entire day with a chainsaw to dig my way out. And under this, I wouldn't, well, if a tree was over my driveway, I wouldn't be able to do it without talking to somebody unless the fire department gave me permission, right? So I was concerned. I talked to David Duarte about that, and he explained to me that the tree services were abusing the emergency options in the old code.
And that's still in there, right?
Yeah, and so that's why this is, so even though I'm a little concerned about that, it's never actually happened to me, other than, those are all branches. And I think that, if you went to the, if you had to dig your way out, they would probably, Dan will give you a break.
So you have to check with any downed tree. I mean, you just can't go cut up a tree that's down.
Right.
If it's been down for a year?
We're coming for you.
I think the issue is that there were a lot of down trees. So
Yes.
all of a
Oh, they
sudden.
just happened to
Everything
fall
was
over, yeah.
a down tree.
Right. The other thing is, there's species are never mentioned, you know, it'd be nice to be a little bit, you know, harsher on Norway maples and stuff
that's for
like that.
sure.
How do you control that? I mean,
Well, it still should go through an approval process, don't you think?
Unfortunately.
yeah,
You know, I think that's maybe another discussion to say, listen, these are invasive species,
probably is,
and
yeah.
if you want to cut them down, you just have to get a permit, but you don't have to replace them or something like that.
okay.
Or you get a, you know, you only do 10% instead of 50%.
That's what the tree commission does now.
Oh, they do, okay.
What?
If it's an invasive species now, they don't require the full extent of the code.
Oh, that's good.
Is that by discretion or there's a rule?
Discretion.
That's good.
And do they have to pay to remove those trees?
They have to pay whoever's taking it down to them.
Right, but
There's no fee for
there's
a
no
permit.
fee for a permit.
No
There's
tree
no fee
permit
for any tree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're a free permit, it's just so we have records.
Yeah,
There are fines if you misbehave.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
There is no exemption, no.
The only fee would be if they don't want to replant, and the tree commission says, you owe us 10 inches, you can pay in lieu of planting. And it goes into a fund that plants trees at the parks.
Or wherever the village, the board.
So what about
picks.
that project where the gentleman had all these invasive species that he wanted to remove, but he would have to pay to,
I think that's my neighbor. It was.
right? And he would have to pay to, because he was removing all those trees.
You'd have to replace it with other non-invasive species or pay, right, yeah.
Yeah.
And was
He's
that the
been
project on
strictly
Lafergie
limited in
where,
what he can do.
you know, he was a completely forested lot?
I think so, yeah.
It was all Norway maples.
Yeah.
That's your neighbor, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Justin.
Well, like, at one iteration, this is before the current laws were approved, there was a discussion about the invasive species, and the CAB and the Tree Commission said there's still trees and there's still habitats, so that they recommended that the board did not make an exception to those. And the board agreed.
No, I thought it was a little unfair that that guy owned the lot and he was gonna get fined $70,000.
Right, because
To
he
put his
wanted-
house up, cut down the trees to make a little room for a little yard in his house. It seemed a little abusive to me, but, for another
Would
revision.
you have felt better if the trees were not invasive? Then it would have been okay for him to pay that much money for that?
No, I think that's a little
Oh,
bit much, yeah.
okay.
But it's not so much about the invasive versus the non-invasive, it's more about the tree canopy in Dobbs
Exactly,
Ferry.
habitat, I mean,
Yeah,
you
that,
hate them.
that's what the,
It's greenhouse
tree
gas
preservation.
absorption, it's, yeah.
Yeah, but it's functionally a very expensive permit, you
So
know,
what
to
happens-
to be able to build your house.
So what happens with the trees in a village park that nobody maintains when they fall down? They're not replaced.
The DPW
We don't
gets
charge
rid of
them.
them.
Like
and-
the During Estate, for
And you can,
example.
well,
Well, the village isn't down by its.
There's
Are
so
there
many trees
code,
in there that are down.
Right.
Nobody
They're not gonna
does
pay.
anything.
yeah,
with
but you
them.
got a pretty vigorous canopy there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but there's a
but the-
lot of bad trees in there right now that are constantly falling over. There are a lot of dead trees, a
I
lot of
mean, lots of
locusts.
ground animals use those for cover. You know,
Well,
I don't know that we need the park to be pristine, like somebody's backyard.
oh, no, I'm not saying that. But like they come, no, there's a lot of trees that are ready to come down because they're not maintained.
Sure.
And they can be dangerous. I mean, I've been walking where all of a sudden a huge limb comes down, and if I had been standing there, I probably would have been killed. So, I mean, it's an issue, but nobody maintains that property.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, so I'm just curious, you know, like, who plants them there? Who maintains that?
I don't know, you should come to a CAB meeting. I'm sure you'd get some interesting opinions on that.
Okay. Well,
So
on that
we-
note, what are we doing with this?
Do we need to vote on
So do
recommending
you
this
have
as
any,
is?
right, so the question is, do you have any recommended changes? Do you have any to what's being proposed? Do you have, what kind of recommendation would you like me to relay to the village board?
I'm prepared to vote for this as is.
I am too.
Anyone else have comments, concerns?
Yeah, I mean, it just is all worked out in the details about trees that are down, or, you know, are they cut down and then they're down, or they fall down or they're down?
Well, if we're interested in this, we can loop back around and continue to modify this code. I mean, or, you know, discuss with the tree commission and the CAB and the trustees and see if we can fix some of these. But, you know, this is, I agree with all these changes, and it's better than not making these changes.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, we could do better, but we could always do better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we
Okay.
pressured into answering this right now?
Yes.
Well, the public hearing is open. I think the board is looking to maybe close the public hearing at their, either, I think it's July meeting. So, you know, if the board wanted to keep the public hearing open, then I think it would probably be best to provide a little bit of justification why you're requesting the public hearing to remain open, because you want to, you know, whether it's want to provide revisions or additional discussions, but I think more details would probably be needed from this board.
I see.
As opposed to you just want to think about it. Like, I probably need to go back with them a little bit of like, what are your issues or concerns?
No, we all get overwhelmed, and it's hard to keep up with all the paperwork, so.
Yeah.
You know, if you haven't had a chance to read it, then I'm not sure we can hold up the process.
Right, okay, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, let's go.
That doesn't stop you as a board from making additional recommendations in the future for changes.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
okay. And I'm fine with it.
Okay, so I move that we recommend this to the Board of Trustees as is. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I move that we adjourn.
Sure.
Uh-oh.
You want to go up to the mic and then we can hear you?
I'm just curious, who gives permission for like the fiber optics to put the wires where they did in the main street? I walk around there all the time. It's disgusting the way it looks. So I'm just curious, who oversaw this? When there's poles behind the buildings, where they could have run it up the back.
No,
Yeah, the wiring at Dobbs
the
Ferry
whole Main Street
is,
wiring, but it ain't us.
Yeah.
The board, okay.
We have
Board
looked
of
at it
Trustees.
a little bit, and it's incredibly complex, because it's not just the village, it's not just the utility, it's also the homeowners have to participate. And if you want to bring those utilities in from underground, for example, every building owner has to trench out to those spots, so it gets complicated very quickly, and I agree with you 100%. You can ask these guys,
It
I
would
ask
be
about it all the
easier for the
time.
homeowner to come in from the back.
Look, I think,
The
excuse me.
poles are already
Wait, wait,
there.
wait.
They might have to replace them, they're old.
Yeah, bring it up in front of the Board of Trustees, they're the right thing to do.
Trustee? Well, I think it's too late.
Well,
It's never.
But I walk around the block every day, just when I get up, I take a walk around, and these things annoy the hell out of me.
I know.
I hate the way it looks
Me
too, but it's not.
And I
It is a
think-
BOT.
Yeah, and I know the Board of Trustees, that's a concern of theirs as well.
Yeah.
So it's not, yeah.
Hard to figure out what to do. It's,
I mean, you should be able to tell fiber optics or whoever it is,
I think you should share a
do
committee.
this, not this.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
thank
we-
you.
yeah, sorry.
I'm sure.
Sorry, I received a letter saying at 7 o'clock, some sort of conversation around Riverside Place, 125, 145, or 145 Palisade Street.
Yeah.
Was doing some sort of geological test.
Oh.
That was last month.
No, that was,
Taken off.
no, yeah, that was taken off the agenda because that was 145 Palisades, that's the temporary platforms.
yes.
What's going on with that, John? You know?
It didn't need a public hearing. They're just doing some exploratory work right now. So it didn't call for a public hearing.
Yeah, but that could significantly change the landscape of the property. It came in 27 years ago to make sure that we had a view of the river.
Well, there will be a public hearing, everything. If they decide to do anything with that, then there will be a public hearing.
Be a long process.
Right now, it's only exploratory.
They're just doing
drilling
some test drilling.
to see the compaction, to see if it's feasible to do anything with that property.
Yeah, 'cause that would really. And that that would totally change the way Riverside Place is. And so I'm even concerned about doing any exploratory. I don't know, I mean, I'm counting on you. When you came to my home, John, I'm so glad you did, to be able to protect us with a lot of these contractors. I didn't know what was going on, but I have a significant concern about that. That mountain could just completely collapse. You know, it could look a lot like a California landscape. You have the train right underneath, you have a lot of power lines there, you know, that could change, you know, our views, change the number of people that are living, and if he starts there, then that means he can probably go straight across the entire mountain, which means it'll cut off everything that we move for. So I have a concern just with the testing. Now, I don't know if I have any right whatsoever, that's why I'm coming to you.
Yeah, we don't.
You spend your time,
Yeah.
you spend your time on the board protecting us, so that's why I'm talking to you about it.
What's the address? What's your address?
My address is 35 Riverside Place.
Okay.
So we can't comment, we haven't seen
Right,
it.
it's not
There's
on.
no proposal yet.
It's not before the board.
Yeah, but I will say that when you get on a steep slope like that, you know, the other properties that are near the train tracks require vigorous engineering studies. So, you know, we haven't had a slope like that collapse here, except for maybe
There was one over in the south part of.
Yes.
on Wickers Creek.
On
No.
South Lawn.
Yeah,
No.
South Lawn.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it actually collapsed, but
Not
it was,
South-
it was,
No.
it required
Fair Lawn.
reinforcement,
Fair
yeah.
Lawn, Fair Lawn.
Fairview, Fair Lawn.
Yeah. The Metro
You can't
North.
make any comment whether or not this is even possible.
It's too early, yeah.
Because it was our understanding when we moved there that that was really kind of Metro North's.
Yeah,
The
Metro.
board, this board can only respond to applications. They can't, like, just on their own comment or provide information on something that's not before them.
But Metro North is really rigorous about protecting that slopes.
This is not a window, these are homes, it's gonna be big. It's a big deal. It'll be a matter of whether we stay here and retire, or
Thanks for
But if it ever becomes an application for whatever they're looking to put there, you certainly would have your chance to.
Yeah, I promise we'll
We had
look
a
at it
public
carefully.
hearing.
You know, we live here too, and you're our neighbor, and we want to protect the village and our neighbors within the code.
thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I move that we adjourn for the evening. Anybody
I agree.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, everybody.
No, I want to stay, I want to stay.